Mais ou menos 4 ou 5 meses atrás, a gente começou um desafio de transformação digital de tudo que acontece aqui na Porsche.
Nós estamos trazendo uma tecnologia que antes era usada na rua, em nossos produtos de carro compartilhado, moto compartilhada. Hoje nós estamos entregando aqui uma telemetria em real time para uma das melhores categorias de turismo do mundo, que é a Porsche Cup.
The Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil and the Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil are not just another pair of racing championships, they are a vibe. It is a fabulous battle that we have awaiting us for these final two races of the weekend here on the Autódromo José Carlos Pace in downtown Sao Paulo in Brazil, the capital of motorsport in this fair nation, in what is going to be a very emotional week for Brazilians and for motorsport fans worldwide, as we pay tribute to the late, great Ayrton Senna da Silva later this week, 30 years since he passed, and his legacy and his thirst for more in motorsport is still very much the growing trend in racing. And in the Porsche Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge of Brazil, it's no different. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson here with you once again to talk you through the second race in both categories. If you weren't with us for yesterday, boy did you miss a couple of treat races, because we had some fantastic duels out there on the course. It was a fantastic opening season victory for Thiago Vivacqua after the youngster managed to grab himself a fabulous victory in the opening race yesterday. From pole position, not easy to convert the pole into victory in a race battle like this one. And it was a similar story for Miguel Mariotti, although of course he had won before. But he has been able to put himself into the firing line for another brilliant challenge ahead of us in the Sprint Challenge of Brazil. We'll talk about that in a short while though. However, first and foremost, we can discuss all of the battle and the intrigue from this second race in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. This is the category where the pomp and circumstance of people being out there on the starting grid with the cars lining up in formation on the grid is part of the fantastic backdrop that we have. And the fans have really been treated to some royal exhibition motorsport here. They've not just had it in drips and drabs in terms of the racing on track. They've had all sorts of badinage and excitement. Let's talk you through what happened in the first race. It was a fantastic start initially for Thiago Vivacqua, but not enough to hold off the charge of Christian Hahn, who was able to sweep through into the lead. Then a big incident that took out a couple of drivers in the first and foremost part of the race. Israel Salman taking a lot of damage, and then the rookie sensation dropping out of the race, as too did a very collection pair of drivers. This forceful move from Thiago Vivacqua getting through on Christian Hahn. There were some great overtaking moves around the course. This was a big moment. Rodrigo Melo getting planted after slight contact, and then unfortunately being driven into by Pedro Aguar. That brought out the safety car. Once the race got going again, there were several drivers trying to go for it. Francisco Horta ending up in a spin, and it was not possible for everybody to avoid him, as rather sadly, Yosemar Junior in the beautifully Senna helmet tribute car ended up having nowhere to go. Another safety car, another thrilling battle, and Thiago Vivacqua managing to seal the victory after a tough race against Christian Hahn. It was a fabulous win for him. Lineu Perez taking the sport victory, and a fabulous one in the rookie victory as well, after a very close quarters battle. Further back, would see a magnificent run from Marcos Regadas. So there's more to come after a sensational, thrilling battle. In the sprint challenge, we had a sensational run as well. Antonella Bassani knocked out of top 10 qualifying shootout, starting 11th, having to make up massive gains. Leonardo Herman desperately trying to take one over on Miguel Mariotti, but then a spin on the opening lap, followed by massive contact. It would be the first of just a handful of incidents. Alsu Feldman picking up damage. Then obviously a big incident further back would take out a couple of the drivers. Gerson Campos being pitched into a spin with Franco Giafone. And Miguel Mariotti able to put himself back into position by taking on Leonardo Herman for the victory. There were some sensational battles all the way around the course. It wasn't just for the win, but also for some of the lower positions. A big incident that saw Alsu Feldman Nito picking up damage after a little bit of a collision with the number 58 car. Big problem for Claudio Shimao. Antonella Bassani was the one on the move, making up big statements through the course of the race, managing to come home in 4th position. Then a random incident that saw a very disastrous state of affairs would take out the 99 car of Wagner Pontes towards the end. But nobody could thwart the march of Miguel Mariotti, who took the victory in front of Leonardo Herman and Sara Kleiter. With a victory for both Miguel Mariotti and Leonardo Herman across their two individual classes, it was the youngster Gaio Chavez that was able to come through for the rookie victory. We're going to have some fantastic battles when we rejoin later this afternoon, but yesterday certainly set the tone for what is set to be a real thriller. So as you can see, the grid is filling up with the dignitaries and the VIP guests who have been able to get themselves that rather fabulous and sought-after place on the starting grid. Bibendum is trying to get the crowd warmed up already, as you can see down there on the starting straight. Great to see that the thirst and the vibe for the great motorsport here is alive and kicking. You've just seen Yosemar Junior in the Senna tribute livery of his car. They managed to get that car repaired overnight. They really had a difficult time of it. Leticia Bufani, who's been competing in the other categories, able to take some fantastic runs out on the course through the course of the weekend. Gustavo Costa doing the same thing. There's something about the Porsche Carrera Cup battles. The Porsche Sprint Trophy gave us some really exciting battles as they took to the circuit. We didn't get to see their race in full, of course, but we were still able to see some fantastic performances from them. As they lined up in a solid position, we certainly got to see them in a thrilling battle out on the circuit. The Sprint Trophy saw pole position go the way of Silvio Morostoni in front of Gabriel Linea. Leticia Buffoni managing to start from 3rd position. She had a good opportunity from there. Dennis Ferrer from P4, then William Araro and Lucas Ducco in front of Andrei Citronbaum and Jose Mora Nito. In the Sprint Trophy, which is the single file formation off the grid, it was a good start from Silvio Morostoni, who was able to run fairly neatly ahead of Gabriel Liber and Leticia Buffoni. Sprint Trophy, obviously for more novice drivers as they work their way through the course of the brigade. It wasn't easy pickings for everybody, and a few drivers found themselves tripping up and ending up in the wrong direction. A big spin further back in the pack, unfortunately costing dear for the 18 car, dropping out of the race there in fine style for Ricardo Zilberman. And there was a spin later on for the treble 7, Lucas Luco finding himself off into the grass. But there was some great battles further back as well. Big issues for the 121, locking up Dennis Ferrer. And then there was a spin just in front of him at the Subida dos Lagos. 121 having the problems, but then a big dive up the inside later on into the race. Saw a big challenge for Everton Cardoso, making a real challenge of it as the race continued to kick on between not only Cardoso, but also a real comeback charge for Fernando Arruda. So as the wheel-to-wheel battles continued all the way through, Arruda was finally able to get the measure of his opponent. He wasn't the only one, as there was some great battles further round. Not everybody found it easy in the closing stages. A big mistake causing massive catastrophic problems for Silvio Modestoni, as ended up spinning the car while leading, damaging the front splitter, and certainly throwing away an easy victory. Gabriel Liber, however, was always going to be in a smooth position after that point. There were great wheel-to-wheel duels as 8 versus 45 continued a stellar race-to-race battle. It was always going to be interesting for Silvio Modestoni to recover, but Jose Moranito was not going to make it easy for him to recover. But out in front, untroubled after the mistake from Modestoni, Gabriel Liber was able to cruise home in the end after this morning's fantastic bout. The checkered flag going Gabriel Liber's way with a big lead sustained back to the drivers behind. It was a fabulous opportunity, a great performance, but really a snell run was had by all. Fantastic run then for all of the contenders, and some really exciting battles provided by everybody. But of course, we were always going to see some really intriguing battles out there. Fernando Arruda taking the sport class victory in front of Andrei Sittenbaum and Everton Cardoso. The trophy battle, of course, Gabriel Liber taking that ahead of Jose Moranito, and Silvio Modestoni, who fought back to third in front of Letizia Buffoni. So they will continue their journey later on in the season, but a fabulous continuation of the sprint trophy. There's more where that came from, as we will find out more in their incredible story next time out. Well, the Sprint Trophy certainly gave us a nice little B-side, if you like, to this fantastic rock album on the Sunday of motorsport. But as you can see here, Sao Paulo on Sundays in motorsport are always packed to the rafters. There is no Formula One at this time of the year, of course, at Interlagos. That's nowadays at the end of the season. But considering this is a week where the Brazilian nation is obviously still in mourning, and it's 30 years since the tragic passing of Ayrton Senna da Silva, the whole nation is gathered together in tribute and mourning. Not just the motorsport world. You have to really understand just how much Ayrton Senna meant to the people of Brazil. Even the motor racing non-fans very much still honour and remember his legacy. This is an emotive week. A few of the drivers and teams have put on various tributes over the course of the weekend. Some drivers changing and adapting their helmet designs, some even wearing the colours of Ayrton Senna's crash helmet or the Nacional Bank livery in some form or another. The most striking of those tributes, of course, is from Yosimar Junior. You'll see that in the first race of the day here. His car has been completely bedecked in the same colour scheme, pretty much to the millimetre, of Ayrton Senna's traditional helmet in the bright yellow, and then the stripes of green and blue to signify the colours of Brazil's national flag. And I have a feeling that the iRacing modders and the livery painters of the worlds of Assetto Corsa and R-Factor and the like are going to have that paint design available for people as early as tomorrow morning. They do know how to do these things quickly. So I'm sure the gamers of the world will appreciate the hard work that Yosimar Junior has gone into painting that livery. It's just to the bottom left corner of your screen. You can just about make it out behind various personnel on the grid, and I do hope they show this car in stationary position in a bit more detail, because it really is very striking, and it certainly stirs emotions in anybody who is a major fan of Ayrton Senna, none the least of whom is myself. Well, the competitors are gearing themselves up ready for the start of this second race, and as a result of that, of course, we're going to have a bit of a shuffle of the deck. Of course, the results from the first race will set the starting grid for the second race, with the exception that the top 6 finishers are reversed to give us a little bit more of a dynamic start. That means that Linho Perez is going to be starting from pole position for this second race of the weekend in the Porsche Cup C6 Bank Carrera Cup. Alongside him on the grid will be Werner Neugebauer, who of course took victory in the second race, the reverse grid race if you like, last time out at Velocitas. So starting from second place certainly gives him a chance to repeat the feat. Miguel Paludo will be lining up in third place on the starting grid, Marcel Müller in P4. And then we will get to see Christian Hahn in 6th position on the grid, 5th position, I should on the grid in front of the race 1 winner, Thiago Vivacqua. You'll notice that the pole position slot has been left empty. That is one of the many tributes that I discussed earlier. The pole position has been left empty in legacy and in commemoration of the memory of Ayrton Senna da Silva. That's the way it's been for all of the races so far this weekend, and it's going to be the same again going into this last grid up start. So behind Perez, Neugebauer, Paludo, Muller, Hahn and Vivacqua in the top 6. Peter Verter lines up 7th on the grid alongside Alcy Feldman. Lucas Salas and Franco Giafoni will round out the top 10. Then Marcos Regadas and Carlos Campos will be next up from Nelson Montero and Gustavo Janon. Bruno Campos and Joao Barbosa will be next up, and then it'll be Gustavo Fara and Ramon Alcaraz, Leonardo Sanchez and Edu Guedes, then Eduardo Menossi and Piero Cifali, Marco Pisani and Nelson Marcondes from Rumen Zimkiewicz and Francisco Horta, Josimar Junior, Pedro Aguar, Rodrigo Melo and Israel Salmen. Those bottom 5 basically down at the back of the grid, having had crash damage yesterday, and of course similar for Nelson Marcondes and Roman Zimkiewicz, so they're going to have to fight their way through from the back, having failed to finish in a competitive position yesterday. So let's have a look at the starting grid lineup in full then, or first, before that, we'll take a look at the details of the other competitors out there. Miguel Paludo, one of the major competitors here on this Sao Paulo José Carlos Pace circuit, 21 victories across his career so far. First time he took the win was at Toto Porto all the way back in 2005. He really has built himself a reputation in this particular race circuit. Of course, the lap record held here was set by Rodrigo Batista in 2018, a 1 minute 34.737. And with 207 races that have been taken place on this Interlagos Sao Paulo circuit, it really does show you just how popular this place is with the motorsport aficionados of the world of racing. This place does have an incredible history to it, built back in the 1970s, and so many fantastic battles. It will be a really interesting one for all of the competitors to get themselves so shaken up. So let's see how the fans are going to enjoy this one. It's certainly going to be a different type of race. The reverse grid races usually are. And we'll see all sorts of battles. I love the fact that there's still so much banter and brotherhood and, great feeling between these drivers as Caio Castro gets himself geared up for the racing. You've got a lot of friends and a lot of guests and obviously personal sponsors that share this experience with you. This is not just a racing championship. It's very much part of the whole ecosystem of a racing driver's makeup. You get sponsors involved. They get treated to all of the fantastic lifestyle by the Porsche Brazil brand. And you really get to feel part of something quite special here. It's great racing. You're obviously cheering on your own individual drivers and teams. I see a football down there on the starting grid. Goodness me, they are letting loose with the regulations. I've never known a football down there on the starting grid. Well, I suppose as long as they don't get told off too soon, they should just about get away with that for a little bit longer. That's Josimar Junior, I think. Considering he's got the best looking racing car in the field, they might just allow that one to slide. But in all my years of motor racing, I've never known football to be played down on the start-finish line when the race is about to grid up. I'll get that man an opportunity. I think they're going to have to sort themselves out. Let's put it this way. He's not really worrying anybody in the Brazilian Premier League, is he? Great to see, and always wonderful to notice that these guys get to have an awful lot of fun out there on the course. But it's wonderful to see all of the drivers enjoying themselves and having a really exciting time of it as they continue in their sensational run. Let's put it this way, he's obviously put himself into a fun situation out there, but I'm not entirely sure the Sao Paulo Football Club is particularly panicking. You know, I don't think Bandeirante is going to be sweating anytime soon, so they don't have to worry about some new kid on the block. The Porsche dignitaries, officials and guests lining up on the start-finish line as obviously the national anthem and the fabulous manner of service continues to play out here. And of course, there is the tribute to Ayrton Senna being observed as well. Senna may not have raced for Porsche in the past, but he is still very much an important member of the motorsport community. Say what you like about Bibendum, the Michelin man certainly knows how to pitch himself into a moment of ceremony. What a fabulous shot from the drone to go straight from the grandstand to the front of the grid. Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil about to get underway then for the second race of the weekend and what is already turning into a thrilling championship battle. Don't tell me there's a problem with the safety car. It's the bonnets come up on the safety car. They're just making sure, I'm sure, that the car is going to be topped up with oil and fuel if it's needed over the course of the next two races. They don't want any embarrassing moments. But of course, the drivers and teams just taking in those last little moments. I think I saw Enzo Elias down there in the field. He, of course, races in the Stock Car Pro Series out here in Brazil, but he'll have a lot of friends in the Porsche Carrera Cup paddock. Unfortunately, Peter Ferter having a little bit of a wild moment there as he is not quite showing up in photographs these days. Clearly a slight glitch in the camera system. But yeah, in the foreground, you can just about make out in the white and blue t-shirt Enzo Elias, who has been racing in the Brazilian National Motorsport Championships for a fair while now. There's Linho Perez, getting himself ready for an exciting battle ahead from pole position. It'll be interesting for the sport driver who was at the sharp end of the field yesterday, took the sport victory. Now he's in the position to emulate Ryan Mascarello, who managed to come through as the sport winner and the overall winner in the first race of the weekend at Velocita a few weeks ago. Thiago Vivacqua took his first victory of 2024 yesterday, lining himself up in 6th position on the starting grid as a result of the reverse grid format. But he's quick here, so he's definitely one to watch out for. You never know, in this kind of championship format, he might have a chance to take a second victory of the weekend. But this man, Marcel Müller, is just thinking about championship points. He came into the weekend as the points leader. He managed to come away with a podium yesterday. Another podium will put him in very good stead. It's just about measured discipline and control. You don't want to push yourself into too much of a difficult situation. You just want to be calm, you want to be cool, you want to be collected. Christian Hahn gearing himself ready for the Blau Motorsport team. And he will, of course, be trying to work his way forward as well. In the background, you can see the Tag Heuer #1 car of Alcy Feldman-Nito. There is Werner Neugebauer, who at Velocita was able to take the reverse grid win, and he's definitely in a good position to do that again here from second on the grid. So it's definitely looking pretty exciting out there for Werner Neugebauer, who will want to take every opportunity to make this work in his favour. There's a lot of drivers up at this sharp end of the field that will obviously be trying to do exactly the same thing and maximise that chance to move forward. So as the contenders gear up for another exciting showcase, we're going to have a really tough battle for all of the contenders out there. But obviously, everybody is just hoping for another strong race battle. Linho Perez lining up at the front end of the field here from Werner Neugebauer. Miguel Peludo being in 3rd place on the starting grid. Watch out for him. Now look at the very back of the grid as we scroll up the field. That is Israel Salmen, the man who has won pretty much all of the races in rookie until yesterday when Marcos Regatas took the win off him. That was because Israel Salmen had an incident in the first lap of the race and the car got so brutally damaged as Roman Zimkiewicz essentially spat into his side after light contact in the middle of the pack. And unfortunately, it was enough to put Israel Salman out of the race. There is Marcel Müller, 5:44, getting himself ready to challenge for another victory. He'll be starting 4th on the grid, directly behind Werner Neugebauer. There is Christian Hahn, P5 on the grid for him, 2nd in yesterday's race. The board goes up, that's the last signal really for the grid to be cleared. As Lineu Perez in front of Werner Neugebauer and Miguel Peludo, hoping for one final song and dance here. Marcel Müller, Christian Hahn and Thiago Vivacqua, hoping for an exciting run as all of the drivers are gearing up for one final showcase here this weekend. Don't forget, of course, as is traditional, the Porsche Cup race will be followed pretty much immediately after the podium by the Sprint Challenge race. They will not form up on the grid the same way that the Porsche Carrera Cup do. They will go straight out onto the pits in grid order, and that will be the start of the formation lap. They come in thick and fast in Brazil. So let's go racing in fantastic fashion. In the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil, the C6 Bank, 2nd race here at Interlagos.
Mas em junho, no penúltimo fim de semana, vocês vão poder acompanhar pela televisão, que a gente vai estar correndo lá em Portugal. Nós vamos poder acompanhar tanto pela Bandeirantes como pela Sport TV. E agora a gente se encontra de novo aqui. Obrigado a todos. Saímos todo nosso arrepiado. Seguinte, ó, atenção, 5 minutos. Atenção ao grid, 5
Time to go to battle and time to have 2 fantastic races on the Autódromo José Carlos Pace. The racing is set to be spectacular. The grid has been cleared, and we can get straight on with the business of racing. Jake Sanson here with you in the commentary box once again after the thrilling action that saw Thiago Vivacqua take the victory ahead of Christian Hahn and Marcel Müller yesterday, with class victories for the pole sitter today, Lineu Perez, and in the rookie category, Marcos Regadas. There is definitely some fireworks from the back of the grid. Several drivers trying to charge their way through after a bit of a fisticuff match yesterday. The likes of Nelson Marcondes, Roman Simkovic, Francisco Horta, Josimar Junior, Pedro Agua, Rodrigo Melo and Israel Salman all dropping out of the race yesterday. That means they'll have to charge their way through. The fans in the stands are very much enjoying being part of the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil experience. They are definitely going to be treated to an exciting race, that's for sure. But the fans in the stands want to see great motorsport. Okay, job done. These guys are going to give it to them. What a fantastic race it is set to be after yesterday's thrilling encounter. 25 minutes plus 1 lap once again. The safety car pulls off and the drivers will go around this fantastic circuit as the safety car leads them round on the formation lap. Here is the circuit, 4.3 kilometers in length. The Interlagos Sao Paulo circuit, home of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Formula 1. And it's obviously going to be a very interesting one. 28 degrees Celsius air temperature here, 47 degrees Celsius track temperature. I can tell you that the ambient temperature is very interesting. Look at these guys trying to dare the drone to go up at the wrong point. Goodness me, these guys have got a sense of humor, let me tell you. Here's the grid. Lino Perez in pole from Werner Neugebauer alongside him on the front row. Miguel Paludo alongside championship leader Marcel Müller on the second row. Christian Hahn and race one winner Thiago Vivacqua in the top 6. Peter Verter lining up alongside Alcy Feldman in the Tag Heuer car. And then rounding out the top 10, we have Lucas Salas in the Wish Machine and Franco Giafone in P10. Next, it's Marcos Regadas taking his first rookie win of the season with Carlos Campos lining up alongside him. 13th on the grid, Nelson Monteiro. 14th, going the way of Gustavo Jaron. Great performance from Bruno Campos yesterday. He lines up on the 8th row alongside Joao Barbosa. Gustavo Fara alongside Roman Alcaraz. They're definitely going to have an interesting one from the row 9. And rounding out the top 20, Leonardo Sanchez alongside his fellow rookie driver, Edu Guedes. Eduardo Monossi is going to be there in 21st alongside Piero Cifali. And then we get the drivers who are having to make a recovery drive. Marco Pisani alongside Nelson Marcondes all the way down in P24. Roman Zimkiewicz and Francisco Horta, the two sport drivers, will be hoping for more from race 2, as will Yosemar Jr. in the Senna tribute car. Pedro Aguar also fighting back from 28th. And Rodrigo Melo and Israel Salmen starting from the back row. Do not expect them to stay at the back. The competitors are around in fine formation, getting into the 2 lines across the circuit. In the 2 rows, they will come in start formation. Rolling start is going to be the way of order. Lino Perez, Thiago Vivacqua and Francisco Horta have the onboard cameras around the course. There could be 1 or 2 others lurking as well. Safety car just backing up the pack. Now, yesterday we had a false start, which meant that the drivers went around again, but the race time continued to tick over. So if that happens again, then obviously they'll have to go around a second time for another formation lap. But the race will technically have started, as in the timer will count down. So they don't want to be in that same situation again today. They want to maximize as much racing as they possibly can. So Lino Perez and Werner Neugebauer are the 2 that end up having the authority to control this field. As the safety car peels into the pits, if it's a clean start, the lights will go out as soon as they pretty much hit the headland up the top of the crest. Are we going to go racing? First time of asking here at Interlagos. The answer is yes, and we're up and away racing at Interlagos. Good start from Miguel Paludo, already trying to tuck in behind Lino Perez, and there's a magic start from Marcel Müller. It's going to be too wide. They jump forward, and Werner Neugebauer and Marcel Müller are going to be side by side through the first couple of corners. It's Neugebauer who hits the front. Müller tags in with Paludo. Couple of drivers running wide. That looks like Salas, who's gone off onto the runoff area in the background. Christian Hahn has worked his way into 4th position in the Blau Porsche. Terrific start from Paludo in front of Marcel Müller. And he has held his nerve to get into 2nd position as down the back straight on the way to Subida dos Lagos. Here comes Müller in a second on Paludo. Paludo's not giving him the space to do it. They run wide. Paludo's off the curb. And so too a couple of other drivers running wide on the exit of the course as everybody tries to make their magic stick. Out in front, it's Neugebauer, but Paludo still desperately trying to keep back Marcel Müller, and he squeezes him. Müller's trying to go right round the outside of the top of Ferradura. Still holding his nerve, and still side by side, goodness me. Marcel Müller's going to get a little bit squirrely. Paludo's going to try and squeeze into the inside apex, and they're still side by side. They've been that way for half the first lap. Goodness me. And now finally Paludo finishes the job as Christian Hahn tries to go around the outside of Marcel Müller. Nearly the entirety of the opening lap was spent with Paludo and Müller side by side. Beat that, everybody else. Absolutely incredible. So now it settles in. Paludo in front of Müller, Hahn, and in 5th position. That looks to me like 56. Trying to work the magic in there. That is Peter Verter, having had a very solid start. And I think Thiago Vivacqua has settled himself into the rhythm there in 5th position quite nicely. So Lino Perez, the pole sitter, has not been able to sustain the lead at all as Paludo gives chase to our race leader. So down the start-finish straight, already looking very good indeed for Neugebauer up the inside. A couple of drivers seeking the opportunity to go for the overtaking move. Not everybody is going to have an easy run of it. As they hustle their way through, it's just about even Stevens there as the competitors work their way through. That is the 121 trying to stay out of harm's way there. And Joao Barbosa trying to avoid contact as Lucas Salas goes wheel to wheel down the back straight. Trying to sort himself out. That's Lino Perez getting the move on the inside there of Alcy Feldman in the Tag Heuer car. Behind them is Franco Giafone. They come off the turn once again. And still a ludicrously close opening start to this race. We're in a very strong position as everybody still having a good race of it. And so still the battles thunder and rage on. We're going to get to see what these guys can really exploit in these opening couple of laps. Do not be too surprised or too shocked to see these guys continue to find a little bit more stamina. Into the pits. We've got an early pit stopper. Not entirely sure what's happened there, but certainly I think that is going to be... oh, goodness me! Franco Giaffoni getting a... So some very nasty moments, and it's Franco Giaffoni who's going to be crawling, limping back to the pits with a broken car. I think the car's actually got broken suspension as Joao Barbosa continues this intense fight as they continue on in very close proximity. The drivers are still mixing it, having a very tough time of it as they run through. Let's have a look at a replay. And this is Franco Giaffoni about to lose massive ground. Look at that. That's an absolute banzai maneuver. I wouldn't really have expected that kind of maneuver at this stage of the race, but you can see that desperation is slowly starting to creep in. That's a forceful maneuver. That's get out of the way. I'm coming through. And obviously it's not the only point of contact. It's caused a lot of damage. And Marcos Regadas, the rookie winner from yesterday, not quite getting that one right at all. So out in front, having set the fastest lap of the race, it is Miguel Peludo, in fact, who's done the fastest lap. And in second position behind Werner Neugebauer, then Marcel Müller, Christian Hahn, Thiago Vivacqua, and in P6, looking in behind the shot. Still all getting close in together. Marcel Müller and Christian Hahn, the ones that we're looking at. And in behind Thiago Vivacqua, just trying to make out who that is in P6. Certainly having had a very tough race of it. I think that is going to continue to be Peter Verter. Oh, a fantastic situation. Let's look back at the start once again. Down the start, finish straight. It will be a continuous run. And look at how quickly Marcel Müller got himself into position. The lights went out, and there was the move from Marcel Müller. Just got himself on the throttle, perfectly timed. And it was almost as if Lino Perez and Werner Neugebauer got caught out there on the start. So an interesting dynamic for the drivers there as they continue to push on their way through. But now we are settling down into this rhythm. There's still some great after effects as they run through. Neugebauer leading the way from Peludo. And still we have this fantastic nip run of all of the contenders as they charge their way through. There is the retirement, I'm afraid, for Giaffoni. So very difficult situation for him, as obviously he took a lot of damage in that maneuver with Regadas. So it's all gone and dusted. New fastest lap of the race there from Alcy Feldman, who's trying to work his way further forward. So definitely some strong performances so far. And what can Alcy Feldman do to get himself back in the mix? Well, for the moment, Miguel Peludo is just hustling Werner Neugebauer. He's really gaining ground on him through Ferraggiora and up the top of the hill. So Miguel Peludo wanting to really put on an exhibition here. This is the battle for the race lead. This is how tight it's going to be throughout. So we're going to continue to see some very close quarters racing between them. Can we see a dive up the inside from Peludo? Certainly not on this lap, you can't. Marcel Müller third, then Christian Hahn in fourth position. Thiago Vivacqua finding himself in P5 in front of Verter, Perez and Alcy Feldman. Neugebauer, fastest lap of the race, a 1:38.4. How fast they are coming through as they head into Juncao after Magilio. Regadas is still your rookie leader, down in 9th position ahead of Monteiro, Campos and then Bruno Campos. But I wonder if that incident between Regadas and Giaffoni is going to come back to bite the rookie winner from yesterday. Marcondes has done a great job. He's already worked his way up to 13th in front of Lucas Salas. And then we've got Joao Barbosa, Ramon Alcaraz doing a fair and steady job in 16th in front of Gustavo Janon. And then Marco Pisani, Rumen Zinkovic up to 19th in front of Edu Guedes. Peludo again tries to get the move on the inside of Werner Neugebauer to no avail on this occasion. Yosemar Junior ahead of Gustavo Fara, and then Francisco Horta working his way up to 23rd position in front of Leonardo Sanchez, although that has now just become Pedro Aguar. Israel Salmen and Rodrigo Melo have got ahead of Sanchez on this lap as well. Manosso having his moments. Having had a little bit of a technical hiccup, I'm delighted to say my timing screen has returned by the look of it. There's two retirements from this race so far. That is Franco Giaffoni and Piero Cifali, who was in a separate incident to Franco Giaffoni in the early stages. Peludo hustling Werner Neugebauer all over the back of him. New fastest lap of the race comes in from Nelson Marcondes. It's a 1:37.9. Look how tight it is at this part of the course as Miguel Paludo hustling all over the back of our race leader, as there is the confirmation of Nelson Marcondes' fastest lap time. Paludo getting very close in behind Werner Neugebauer now, but as they hold each other up, this is great news for Marcel Müller. He gets to close in, so does Hahn, so does Vivacqua. You can see the teams are getting very nervous. Sat there in third and fourth position, hoping for the chance to come forward. P6 is still Peter Vetter, looking good for the win in the sports category. Winning the rookie looks good for Marcos Regadas. That is unless he gets investigated for his part in the retirement for Giafoni. Back off the turn, up to Arquibancadas. And Thiago Vivacqua taking a very different line to Christian Hahn. Maybe that's going to be beneficial. I can tell you that the investigation has begun into the incident between Giafoni and Regadas. So maybe that is going to prove to be a difficulty for Regadas, because obviously Giafoni is out of the race. So here is Werner Neugebauer trying to get well clear of Miguel Paludo. Paludo's not exactly making it easy for him at the moment. 16 minutes left on the clock. And then, of course, we've got a whole other motor race after this one, the Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil. As they work their way into Subida dos Lagos. We see some real banter between these two now. They continue on their charge, and they will climb up towards Ferradura once more. Not many race circuits with this kind of backdrop. It really is stunning to behold. Werner Neugebauer leading the race at the moment. New fastest lap comes in for Feldman once again, 1:37.87 at an average speed of 158.4 kilometers an hour. Now, because Neugebauer is holding up Paludo, here comes Marcel Müller. He wants a piece of this race as well now, up into third place. Then Hahn, Vivacqua, Vetter, and Alcy Feldman. 8th place, Lino Perez, second in sport. 9th place, Marcos Regadas, leading in the rookie, and then 10th place for Nelson Monteiro. So there is another investigation going on, and that is the incident involving Nelson Monteiro and Giafoni. So that was just a few seconds after that initial one between Regadas and Giafoni. So two drivers could end up getting penalties here. Once again, the slipstream effect is going to be crucial for Miguel Paludo. If he can hunt down an opportunity to get through on Werner Neugebauer, he pops out behind him, hoping to intimidate on the rearview mirror. But Werner Neugebauer wasn't born yesterday. He's not going to lose sleep over that. Miguel Paludo and Marcel Müller giving him plenty of chases, as out through the turn as well comes Christian Hahn. They go down the back straight. A little bit of a run wide from Werner Neugebauer. That could be enough for Paludo. Paludo's taken a very different racing. Oh, and a spin! Well, it looks like 2 races out of 2 then that there's trouble for Josimar Junior. And he's also in the mix there with Roman Zimkiewicz, and the 60 going for a spin as well, trying to take avoiding action. But that is Roman Alcaraz. There's the initial point of contact. Alcaraz, oh goodness me. Alcaraz actually got taken into there by Josimar Junior and Roman Zimkiewicz. That's an incident that's going to need several looks. Oh, look at that from Josimar Junior. Just slices in on Zimkiewicz. And as a result, he takes 2 drivers off the road. Oops. Well, Francisco Horta is battling away with Israel Salman, and Josimar Junior battling wheel to wheel there in the mix of the melee as he battles away there with, I think, Gustavo Fara. We're on board with Francisco Horta, trying to go right round the outside of Israel Salman on the curbs. Big dive on the inside for Horta. No, you don't, says Israel Salman. I'm not a rookie, but you can't shove me around this track. Very nicely handled. 14 minutes to go then. Lost the extra additional lap at the end of it. So Josimar Junior, with the Senna helmet colours on his car, is in front of Gustavo Fara, Pedro Aguar, and then we've also got in that collection of drivers Francisco Horta and Israel Salman. So Israel Salman is the one who's in front of Francisco Horta for the moment. Several different racing lines as the drivers are trying out new tricks to try and thwart their opposition. Rodrigo Melo is in the mix there as well. Here we go for the lead. Paludo and Neugebauer. Paludo's going to take the lead at this one. But he's got to leave a little bit of space for Neugebauer. Neugebauer's still there to the inside line through the center S. They're going to be careful that they don't synchronize spin their way through the center S. Marcel Müller trying to get in close to them as well. This is going to be an absolute dogfight down to Subida dos Lagos. Neugebauer on the inside line. They bang wheels. And here comes Müller diving up the inside of Paludo. Is there going to be enough space? Just about for the 3 of them to sort it out. It's stalemate and it's as you were. But my goodness me, it's getting fighty out there between these 3 drivers. And here comes Christian Hahn to make it a quartet battling for the win now. Excellent racecraft. Still, Marcel Muller just keeping a watching brief in third position. Paludo again, hunting down the opposition. Got to give himself a little bit of breathing space now to have another crack at Werner Neugebauer. But as a result of that, it's all tightening up. And Luc is up to 5th position. Up to 4th position, make that mean it. That's also Feldman diving in on Christian Hahn. So also Feldman has got past both Thiago Vavacqua and Peter Vetter. And now he's taking on Christian Hahn. Great comeback from Alcy Feldman in this race. Up to P5. 12 minutes left. And Feldman take on Christian Hahn. My goodness me, is this race really starting to turn the dial up to 11. Up towards Arquibancadas once again to finish off the lap and head for the Senna S. Down the crest, back up it again as they come up the rise. And Miguel Paludo once again trying his tricks to get on terms with Werner Neugebauer. Here comes Alcy Feldman having a look at Christian Hahn, leaving the braking as late as they dare into the Senna S. Thiago Vavacqua trying to shake off Peter Vetter as well. Lini Perez is not far behind in the sport battle, or what is 8th position overall, second in class. Run wide again for Neugebauer. Paludo and Muller on the limit. And Alcy Feldman now up to P5 behind Christian Hahn. Well, that was a little bit close for comfort between the 5 drivers on that previous lap, but they've got to regroup, they've got to gather their thoughts, try again. You don't want to shunt around every single lap. You've got to obviously make sure that the tyres are going to go the distance, the brakes are going to slow you down into the apexes that are needed to. Up Ferraggiura, up the climb. Fascinating midfield this. You really have to work the car very hard indeed through that part of the apex, and that's why setup is so crucial. You don't want to push the brakes or the tyres too hard for that particular sector of the course. Up towards the Bico de Pato. Into the braking zone. Marcel Muller having to think about Paludo. Not close enough. Doesn't want to slingshot it. It's too high risk at this stage of the race. You could end up losing a heck of a lot. Out through Magello. Down the hill. And then up the climb again towards Jinsao. It's a really tough race battle at the front end of the field. You've got 5 of the best in this sport having a real race of it. Werner Neugebauer, Miguel Paludo, Marcel Muller, Christian Hahn, Alcy Feldman. All 5 of them have the opportunity to win this one. It's going to be about who is going to be disciplined enough, who's going to be quick enough, who's going to be conservative enough with tyre life. Here comes Paludo again on Werner Neugebauer. Quite close enough to challenge. As again, Alcy Feldman has to think about Christian Hahn. It's not quite level enough. Here's Werner Neugebauer, the replay. Why was there a chance forward? That's why Paludo absolutely shafted his way through the inside line there. Let the braking as late as possible. But he's not going to finish that off. Look, he's got to leave a little bit of space for Werner Neugebauer. And that is why he's been able to take the lead of the race back again. Look how close it was and how emotional it was on the inside line. You can't celebrate until the move is over. And Werner Neugebauer is still alongside him at that point. Ready. Paint has been traded. Marcel Muller thought he had a move on Miguel Paludo as well. No, you don't, says Miguel Paludo. Great racing. I think there's going to be a few beads of sweat in those garages. But certainly Werner Neugebauer running a beautiful race in front of Miguel Paludo. Paludo's back on terms, and that is Roman Simkovic again. Second incident for him. The back of the car looks properly bented. Almost looks as though he's done a couple of rounds with Anthony Joshua. Let's see what happened. Second incident in the race for Roman Simkovic. Oh, he's lost it on his own this time. Oh, that's a really scary place to go off. That's on the way through Senna S. Bang! Game over. Well, the back end just got away from him there, and it's easy to lose the car on that point because you don't have a massive amount of opportunities to save it. Once you get a little bit loose, you're on the marbles, and you're going straight to the wall. And that's game over for Roman Simkovic. And it's safety car. It's enough to put out the safety car. So, all of a sudden, Roman Simkovic becomes the next retirement in this race after Piero Cefali and Franco Giaffoni. He's not out of the race, actually. He's been able to get the car restarted. He's on the blinkers. But they brought out the safety car. They still have to bring out the safety car, of course, because the barrier at that point on the course will be damaged. So they've obviously got to do a little bit of repair work to make it safe. So it's not just irritating that the safety car period has been called and then the drivers run away and needlessly the safety cars come out. They still have to make sure that the barrier is safe enough to restart this race. That should be a fairly straightforward job. I hope you're enjoying it, mate. We certainly are. 7 minutes, 50 seconds or so, roughly, before this race concludes. Let's have another replay as we watch the drivers off the original start. Great highlights in this one. A lot of drivers pushing the limits of what's acceptable. This is the run out of Geração to climb back up the hill and see various different interpretations of racing lines. This is out through Senna, I do believe. I know it's still back at Geração. It's just a slightly different dynamic of the order. But Werner Neugebauer currently leading the way, hoping he's going to be able to keep it. That's Gustavo Farah finding a little bit more than the racetrack on that particular front. And a lot of big challenges from behind. Francisco Horta finding a little bit more than the racetrack as well. Be so careful when you run that curve on the outside of Geração because it's a very fast corner and it really unsettles the balance of the car. As Leonardo Sanchez manages to get away with that one. Even the leaders, Werner Neugebauer and Miguel Paludo, have been stretching the limits of what they can and can't do. That just shows you how tough it is for Neugebauer to shake off Paludo. But this safety car definitely gives Paludo a better chance to take the lead of the race here as Marcondes drifts out wide a little earlier into the race. And even the sport winner from yesterday, Lino Perez, having to find an alternative route to get through because he's really run the gauntlet. So the safety car has caught the field up, but because the barrier is damaged, they're going to be out on the safety car trail for an additional lap, I do believe, because they've got to make sure that that barrier is safe enough to race. It's all very well, you say, but the car's moved, the race circuit's safe. Well, if the barrier still needs work, then they're going to have to continue behind the safety car. All the nerves and the tension start to rise at this point because we've only got 6 minutes left. We are running out of opportunities for these drivers to come back into fruition if there is going to be a reasonably long safety car. You don't want to eat into too many of the racing minutes available, but at the same time, safety is safety and racing is racing. And ideally, the officials don't want to stop this race if they possibly can, because it's a very tight schedule, 25 minutes plus the additional lap, followed by a podium, followed by 25 minutes and then the fastest lap again for the sprint challenge. So they've got to be very mindful of that. Just out of this shot, the marshals are going to work. I think they have now just managed to reset the barriers. I can see it on my screen. They have pretty much got that sorted now. It was certainly a lot further out of line when the contact was initially made, and it looks like it's okay to me now. Peter Fertel going to be battling his way forward. He currently leads the sport category. Looking good for the victory if he can hold on in front of Lino Perez. You've got to look back a little bit further for Marcos Regadas, who currently leads in the rookie class. But obviously, there's still that investigation. I haven't heard anything yet into the investigation involving Marcos Regadas and the other two drivers. The other driver he was involved with, Franco Giafforni. I also haven't heard anything about the investigation that's got Nelson Monteiro a little hot under the collar on the same lap with the same driver, Franco Giafforni. Lights out on the safety car. I did see that the marshals had done their work on the barriers, so now we can go racing again, and we've got only 4 minutes left of racing. We'll have less than that by the time the safety car brings them round. So I estimate we're going to have about 3 minutes 15 when the race gets restarted. That's going to be enough for, I think, by my math, a 3 to 4 lap sprint at most. On board with Francisco Horta. Safety car slowing them up at Mugello as they climb the crest again into Geração. The safety car is going to give Werner Neugebauer the opportunity to lead by example, but obviously they've got to be very controlled. The safety car is starting to head back for the pits. They've got to give themselves a little bit of breathing air. Has Werner Neugebauer already gone for it? No, he hasn't. He's still quite slow on the top of the hill. He's having to try and catch up Miguel Paludo in terms of his reaction time. So a few of the drivers further back will use that opportunity to try and close up. Now Neugebauer's going for it. I don't think this has worked for Neugebauer. Paludo and Muller are going to be right there. And it's green, 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 green as we race again in Interlagos. Paludo's got a good run. He's going to try and charge his way to the first corner from Neugebauer. Neugebauer protects once again round the outside. Muller's there. Hahn and Alsu Feldman having a great duel as well. A couple of drivers trying a trick or two into the first Senna S-curve combination. Have they been able to get through without incident? Looks like it for the moment, although a little bit of a moment there for the 12 as running a little bit wide. Marco Pisani just about gets away with that. Miguel Paludo trying again here on Werner Neugebauer, who's defending valiantly. That's enough for Marcel Muller to get on the outside. And Muller's going to try and drive right on the outside of Paludo. If you can't get past him, I will. And running off the road comes Marcel Muller. He's still got to the inside line of Ferragira. This could be enough. And Marcel Muller trying to squeeze Paludo. Paludo's still there to his left. and Marcel Muller is going to have to work so hard to keep Paludo back. Here comes Christian Hahn trying to get himself into the mix. Alsu Feldman is there as well. And that is Marcel Muller in a second, but he drifts wide. He's going to lose the back of the car, and Paludo gets back ahead. Goodness me, very nearly rally cross from Marcel Muller. And diving up the inside, Feldman hits! Oh, collision, contact! Muller, Feldman and Christian Hahn all off the road. Too hungry from Alsu Feldman, too determined, and it's chaos at Interlagos. Alsu Feldman just not able to slow the car down, saw a gap too late, couldn't respond in time, get off the gas, and unfortunately he's driven straight into the back of Marcel Muller, the championship leader. What a dramatic turn of events. Look at the damage to Alsu Feldman's car. Look at Yosemite Junior. He's in trouble. He might need to pit that. He's heading down to the first corner, but he's got big panel damage, and that could cause more incidents. Yosemite Junior with big damage on the run down to the first corner. It's into the pits to retire. Comes Alsu Feldman. But somehow Yosemite Junior still got a car that's running around the circuit. I'm not quite sure how he's managed that. No, he's slowing down. He's got a car broken, and that's Israel Salman off again. The rookie winner, Israel Salman, spins it and goes straight through the C6 back banner. And there is Yosemite Junior pulling off behind him as well. That is big as far as the championship is concerned. Marcel Muller taken off then by Alsu Feldman and Christian Hahn collected. There's Yosemite Junior parking up. It's the most beautiful car in the field, but it hasn't made the finish on either occasion. And Alsu Feldman comes into the pits. I have a feeling that the officials will throw the book at him after the investigations have all been completed. And Alsu Feldman, that was a moment of madness from the Tag Heuer driver. Saw a gap, went for it. Unfortunately, whilst he was making the move on Christian Hahn, he couldn't slow down and went straight into the back of Marcel Muller. So what's happened to those two? Let's look at it again. So Feldman has got to run, dives to the inside, sees his chance, whoops, hits the curb, then hits Marcel Muller. And Peter Verter got really held up in that one as well. That means that the lead in the sport category has now gone to Linho Perez. Oh, what catastrophic situations it is for the other teams out there. But Miguel Paludo and his crew are delighted. Unfortunately, not every crew shares the sentiment. Safety car is out by the look of it. There's Israel Salman going around. And Yosemite Junior is just parking up behind him. Well, it looks to me as though the safety car has been called again. There's a lot of debris out on the course. Here is a spin further back. And that has caused more issues. Oh, that's why we've gone safety car. It's a big spin, unfortunately, for the 15 there. And a lot of damage, I'm afraid, to... Well, that is Leonardo Sanchez's car. I think it was Roman Alcaraz that went straight into the side of him. And the time has run down to 0. I think we're going to finish this race on a safety car. So Werner Neugebauer is going to be the luckiest man in Christendom here at Sao Paulo. This is the last lap. They ran out of time and then started the lap. So they're going to finish under safety car conditions. And this is big for Marcel Muller. He's going to drop all the way to 14th. And he will not have any chance to make it back. There is Marcel Muller. There's Christian Hahn. They have both dropped out of the points. This is a real hammer blow in the championship assault of both drivers. Well, there's other incidents under investigation as well now, of course. Alsu Feldman and Marcel Muller is, of course, under investigation. Let's have another replay. Now, this is how it all kicked off. Marcel Muller trying to go around the outside of Miguel Paludo. And keeping his foot in. Paludo deciding, no, I'm not going to let you get alongside. Muller decided anyway he was going to go for it. Paludo fought. Got himself around the outside. Then onto the dust went Muller. Drop back to third. Here comes Feldman. Bang! Into the side of Marcel Muller. And Christian Hahn's got nowhere to go. Peter Verter got held up as well. Look at the damage. And the drivers desperately trying to keep themselves in position. Look at Yosemite Junior. He doesn't realise how much damage he's got. And Israel Salman almost goes clean off the road into the barriers. Then down to the first corner. How did Israel Salman get pitched into a spin? Looks like that's how. Oh, just got hit twice. And both occasions, it was Leonardo Sanchez that pitched him around into a spin. Ironically, it's Sanchez that then goes around later, and bang! Roman Alcaraz can't avoid him. Well, all sorts of carnage and chaos. Flotsam and jetsam all around the race circuit. There's going to need to be a little bit of a clean-up job before the start of the Porsche Sprint Challenge race. But the man who's dodged it all, the luckiest man in Sao Paulo, is going to get a second reverse grid victory in a row then, as Werner Neugebauer is going to come through ahead of Miguel Paludo. They will finish the race under the safety car, but Werner Neugebauer will take the checkered flag. Neugebauer gets it done again in front of Miguel Paludo and Thiago Vivacqua on the podium. Lino Perez takes the sport win in 4th. Marco Regadas gets the rookie win in 5th. What a dramatic end to a crazy race here at Sao Paulo. And that is a brilliant performance from a lot of the teams in the mix there. The Neugebauer crew going absolutely ballistic. Werner Neugebauer taking the overall victory behind the safety car. A lot of work for the marshals to do there in order to work their way forward. I think Neugebauer and Vivacqua actually were rubbing doors as they went round the Senna S there. The 2 different winners of the races then this weekend are Thiago Vivacqua and this man, Werner Neugebauer. That was one of the most dramatic Porsche Carrera Cup races you're ever going to see in Brazil. And it's definitely thrown a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons as far as the championship is concerned. Lino Perez, the provisional winner in the sport category. And that's 2 out of 2 for him. Very impressive indeed for the man who originally started this race from pole position. He does come through to finish in 4th, staying out of harm's way, staying out of trouble, and making it all come to fruition. And the car that finishes 5th on the road, for the time being, is the provisional winner in the rookie category. However, we know he's under investigation. So Marcos Regadas will obviously be happy to come through as the rookie winner for the time being. Whether or not he'll keep that or not, well, they've got to make their decisions pretty quickly because we've got a podium ceremony to come up shortly. But there is a very happy Werner Neugebauer coming through for a fabulous victory. His 2nd weekend in a row that he's taken the race 2 victory. And on the day where Marcel Muller and Christian Hahn have dropped out of the top 10 in the closing stages with a big incident that saw Alsu Feldman retire from the race, that is big as far as the championship fight is concerned for Werner Neugebauer. We've got some really interesting races to come as the season continues. You can be sure that we're going to have a really exciting continuation of the battles here at Interlagos in the Sprint Challenge coming up shortly. Werner Neugebauer, I think, is just happy that it's all over. That could have got very messy very quickly, and he manages to avoid the chaos. So it's certainly been a dramatic race day, that is for sure. It's certainly been a very exciting conclusion to the proceedings. But of course, after the battles here at Interlagos, the first 3 weekends of the championship being sprint events, now we get to enjoy a little bit of a break. 2 months' time, the Carrera Cup will return at the endurance race at Estoril in Portugal on the 22nd and 23rd of June. So you've got 2 months to wait for that. But what a result for Werner Neugebauer. He's definitely very happy with the way that today has gone. He can celebrate in style with his mechanics. Lino Perez, that's another victory in the sport category. 2 out of 2 for him. He looks very good in terms of his championship aspirations. He can be happy with that one. And Marcos Regadas, currently provisional winner in the rookie category. Well, he's certainly happy with it. He's celebrating. He doesn't think there's any reason to give the victory away to somebody else. But we'll obviously have to figure out what will happen as a result of the investigations. Mounting the roof of his car, a fabulous result for Werner Neugebauer, taking another victory here in Brazil as Marcos Regadas gets out of the car and celebrates with his crew. I wonder how long those celebrations will continue. They might be able to give him a podium ceremony, but the post-race investigations could produce a different result. What a very dramatic race, that is for sure. I wouldn't really have expected quite so much carnage from the second of the Porsche Carrera Cup sprint races in the Interlagos circuit. But certainly 3 weekends in, and Goiânia, Velocita, and Interlagos for the 3 sprint race weekends have given us plenty to discuss. Next up, we go to an endurance round at Estoril in Portugal. And then we'll have a week after that, another sprint round on the same venue. Then another gap will come of almost 2 months when we have the next sprint event back here at Interlagos in the 4th weekend in August. I think he's just been told that there is an investigation into the youth for the moment, but he's happy to stand on the top of his Porsche. I've won again. Don't try and take this away from me, says Marcos Regadas. He's certainly the winner for the time being. So Werner Neugebauer, Lini Perez and Marcos Regadas come through for the victories. It's double wins for Lini Perez and Marcos Regadas. Will it stay that way in the post-race investigations? We'll have to keep you updated on that one on Porsche Cup Brasil on Instagram and obviously the social media channels for the championship. Werner Neugebauer, Miguel Peludo, Thiago Vavacqua is your podium. Lini Perez, winner in sport. Marcos Regadas, winner in rookie. Peter Vettel, Nelson Marcondes, Bruno Campos, Lucas Salas and Nelson Monteiro in the top 10, ahead of Carlos Campos and Gustavo Janon. Then Joao Barbosa, Marcel Muller and Christian Hahn after their last lap shenanigans. Pedro Aguar fighting back to 16th, ahead of Marco Bazzani, Francisco Horta, Rodrigo Melo fighting back to 19th, and Eduardo Minossi in the top 20. Edu Guedes, Gustavo Fala, and Israel Salmen were the final finishers of the race. Ramon Alcaraz, Leonardo Sanchez, Josimar Junior, Alci Feldman, Roman Zimkiewicz, Franco Giafoni and Piero Cifali all failing to finish in one of the craziest races I've seen in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Well, it's certainly been a productive weekend at the office for Werner Neugebauer. He's picked up big, juicy points on a day where his chief rival Marcel Muller has ended up being bantered off the circuit. This is going to be a very tough test of the patience and powers of the team. They'll obviously come into the next race hoping that they can continue the charge forward. But the podium ceremony coming up is definitely going to have some interested faces on it across the categories. We'll get to see some strong contenders for performance of the day up there on that roster, of course, as well. But plenty of great challenges for all of our drivers to consider. But certainly for Werner Neugebauer, ahead of Miguel Peludo and Thiago Vavacqua, he's going to be joined on that podium in the class by Lucas Salas and Marcel Muller. In fact, no, Lini Perez and Marcos Regadas will join him on the podium because they do an overall podium, then they do a sport podium and a rookie podium. So 4th and 5th in class in Carrera Cup does not actually count for the podium positions. What a tough race this one's been. There's going to be a lot to unpick here for the competitors. So there we are. Marcos Regadas, Lini Perez, Thiago Vavacqua, Miguel Peludo, and our race winner, Werner Neugebauer, make their way to the podium. Great to see the 5 drivers there in podium positions. You get 5 podium places in Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Marcos Regadas and Lini Perez, overall top 5 for the moment. 3rd for Thiago Vavacqua, a great weekend for him, a win and a 3rd place. Miguel Peludo, a fabulous weekend again for him, holding off the charge, a pair of podiums. For the winner, Werner Neugebauer, for the 2nd weekend in a row. He gets the race 2 victory. As far as the championship is concerned, that's massive for Werner Neugebauer and his championship aspirations in 2024. You can be very happy with that. So as the boys in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil get busy with the fizzy here, excellent run from our drivers at the sharp end of the day. So for Werner Neugebauer, he can be happy. Bendham's absolutely delirious about it. Well done, mate. So off to the Porsche awning later on for a quiet drink and a reflection of what was a very tough race indeed for Werner Neugebauer to win. The race finishing under safety car with all sorts of chaos to review. And certainly I'm sure that will be done later on in the course of the week. But Werner Neugebauer having great battles with Miguel Peludo all the way throughout this race. Somehow holding on and getting a lucky break that Marcel Muller was not able to run up in the top 5. Alci Feldman striking both him and Christian Hahn down the order. At least Alci Feldman dropped out of the race, but it's not going to be any comfort at all for the likes of those 2 men. So here is the next podium finisher. The next podium, it is the sport category, and the top 5 drivers in sport obviously making their way to the dais. So that is going to see Carlos Campos, Nelson Monteiro, who fights his way to 4th position in the class. Nelson Marcondes, good drive for him, 3rd position. He can be happy with that in the sport category. Peter Vettel, good solid points for him this weekend in sport. Another 2nd place, but it's 2 from 2 for Lini Perez. Excellent work from him. Double win keeps him in a very happy and safe, secure position in the sport category in 2024. They can enjoy these 2 months off, waiting for the endurance race to come at Estoril in Portugal. A nice celebration then. They go from one current Formula 1 venue to a former Formula 1 venue. And the sport category drivers really enjoying their Brazilian champagne shower. Lino Perez has definitely been very composed over the course of this weekend. When a lot of drivers were starting to lose face and make mistakes out there, it was actually Lino Perez who was able to keep himself in a very safe and secure position and not really get himself into hot water. He drove very comfortably, very maturely. So now we're going to get the top 5 drivers in the rookie category make their way to the podium, following in the wheel tracks of Lino Perez. And so the rookie drivers, it's going to be an interesting podium, that's for sure, because a few of the rookies are not there to be in that top 5. As Lino Perez celebrates the win in the sport category. The top 5 drivers in rookie are very surprising. A lot of the big names that we've seen in rookie so far this year not going to make the rostrum. There are our 5, and let's go through them one by one. 5th position, Marco Pisani. That is unexpected for him, but he will be very happy to pick up some silverware in a very competitive category. And how did he do that? By staying out of trouble. I'm just waiting for... I'm not entirely sure what we're waiting for, but now they get the presentation underway. Marco Pisani then receiving the trophy for P5. 4th position for Joao Barbosa. Not a bad run for him in P4 in the category. Gustavo Jaron, not far away from a victory, I'm sure, continuing in a very unlucky form today. Bruno Campos, there or thereabouts, knocking on the door of the top 10 and managing to secure it in the end. But another victory from Marcos Regadas. And of course, regular fans will have noted that in both races, Israel Salmen, the man who dominated the first 2 meetings at Goiânia and Velocita, conspicuous by his absence. He'll have to fight back in 2 months at Estoril. So the final podium ceremony then, the final champagne spray here at Interlagos for our drivers, and Marcos Regadas will be comfortable in the knowledge that for the moment at least, he has made this 2 out of 2 in the sport category. So the attention will turn now to the formation lap in the sprint challenge. Matthias Roque will take up residence in pole position after Miguel Mariotti's race win yesterday. The top 6, as always, are flip reversed. So we'll go through the grid very quickly indeed. Matthias Roque and Chegamos Brasil on the front row of the starting grid after the reverse grid. Antonella Bassani, 3rd on the grid with Sadek Leiter alongside. Can Antonella pick up a win? Leonardo Herman and race 1 winner Miguel Mariotti on the 3rd row. Seba Marucelli alongside Sang-Ho Kim on the 4th row of the grid. Then Giuliano Bertuccelli and Caio Castro rounding out the top 10. Row 6 of the grid sees Caio Chavez, the rookie winner from yesterday, alongside Gerson Campos. Wagner Pontes alongside Luis Souza in the 7th row of the starting grid. Then Paulo Totaro joins up with Eric Santos on row 8. Then Claudio Reina alongside Alsunito, who's got a lot of work to make up today. Claudio Shimao, who also retired. Christian Moore had crash damage yesterday, goes off P20. Marco Tullio and Lucas Locatelli will want to make some big gains as well. And then we will have a very interesting race. Now, they get 2 laps out on the course, the Sprint Challenge drivers, because they get the exploratory lap and then they get the official formation lap. There's a lot of opportunities here in this one. We've got 2 sport drivers at the sharp end of the field. And despite having a disaster in the shootout qualifying yesterday morning, Antonella Bassani, who was looking pretty sheepish about not making the top 10 shootout, now finds herself as the leading Sprint Challenge driver in the Cup race here. 3rd on the starting grid alongside Sadek Leiter. She does have a chance of picking up something special here. But Miguel Mariotti is definitely going to have it very tricky to move forward. And the likes of Caio Castro, Gerson Campos and Christian Moore, a long way down the order. Moore, of course, retiring from the race, along with the likes of Marco Tullio, Lucas Locatelli, Alci Feldmanito, Claudio Reina and Claudio Shimao. This is going to be intriguing. Can Matthias Roque translate this into a race victory? It will be tough to hang in front of Chegamos Brasil for any length of time. Antonella Bassani, 3rd position, and Sadek Leiter, 4th place for the moment. And Leonardo Herman, Miguel Mariotti, Stefan Marucelli, Sang-Ho Kim, Giuliano Bertuccelli, Caio Castro, Caio Chavez, Gerson Campos, Wagner Pontes, Luis Souza, Paulo Totaro, Eric Santos, Claudio Reina, Alci Feldmanito, Claudio Shimao, Christian Moore, Marco Tullio and Lucas Locatelli, 22nd and last at the back of the field. The lights out on the safety car, time to go racing. So they will work their way once again out of Jinsao, up the climb through to Arquibancadas. That is when they will see the lights go out and we will be racing for the last time this weekend, the second time in Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Can Matheus Roque soak up the pressure? Chegamos Brasil just in behind him. Antonella Bassani, third place, the leading cup driver in the challenge. What can she do from third position? Surely she's got a great chance to wrap up a victory when yesterday morning she was looking so downcast. So let's see how the drivers respond to the challenge. The lights will go out as soon as the officials feel it's time to go for it. Are we going to go racing straight away here? The answer is once again, yes. No, it's not. False start. So a false start. Well, the timer has started ticking, but it is a false start. The cars were not lined up in position adequately enough for a race start then. I'm afraid to say, as a result of that, we're going around again for another formation lap. But the timer, as you can see, has started ticking. A few drivers appear to be out of position. They were just a little bit eager to get going here in Interlagos. I mean, it's quite common. This is a circuit that everybody wants to do well on, but we can't go racing ahead of time. So we had a crazy race in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil race earlier on. We just finished that, now into the Sprint Challenge. What are we going to get from these guys? Matheus Roque, Chegamos Brasil on the front row of the grid, and then Antonella Bassani and Sara Kleiter, Leonardo Herman and Miguel Mariotti in the top six. Plenty to get excited about. Plenty of drivers going to try and charge their way through into position again. This is a replay of the start. Why are we out of position? Interesting to see. Well, it just looks as though the drivers were just too keen. They were bunched up a little bit too aggressively. It could have caused a little bit of an issue there, so they decided not to start the race. They kept them under yellow flags. Wonder why we're going to see this. Let's have another look. Oh yeah, look at that. The field is not very well staggered in the rows. That's why we decided not to start the race. And how close it was for a couple of drivers. Who's that going, charging the way through the field on the far side, trying to make up a few gains? I didn't quite make out who it was, but certainly one driver felt, well, this is going to be the easiest race in history because I'm just going to get past the entire field on the far side before he twigged what was going on. He realised, oh, hang on, this might be a false start here. And it looks to me as though it might have been the driver towards the tail end of the field. I think that might have been Lucas Locatelli. And Marco Tullio has dropped right to the back of the field by the look of it. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there for Marco Tullio. Has he got damage or is he not going to continue on? There is Lucas Locatelli, who had that wild moment. Here we are in the two rows once again. Chegamos Brasil trying to stay with Matheus as they come through. They need to stay in these two rows. And a couple of drivers out of position. So let's have a look and see if we're going to go racing this time. Are we in position this time? Now we're going to go racing. And it's a great start for Antonella Bassani. Already trying to pop out behind Matheus Roque and overtake. Chegamos Brasil is going to try and get the lead in the inside line as Antonella Bassani takes the lead in the first turn. Excellent start. And she is now in the lead from Chegamos Brasil. Running wide, Matheus Roque. Watch out for Leonardo Herman. And Mariotti also gets into the mix. Bit of a run wide from Locatelli. But out in front, your race leader is Antonella Bassani. She's made a perfect start from third position, up into the lead. Chegamos Brasil now in second place as Miguel Mariotti is trying to work his way into third place. Move up into second position as Malucelli and Gerson Campos having an interesting race in the middle of the pack. Caio Castro and Sang-Ho Kim. Not the greatest of starts in the world for Sara Kleiter. He finds himself down behind Leonardo Herman as now Christian Moore's trying to dive up the inside. He is dueling away there in the middle of the pack. Over to try and make his move there on Gael Chavez. Now in the braking zone, a bit of a late opportunity there. 3:55 of the fast starting Marco Tullio. Looking to move his way further forward sooner rather than later. Christian Moore dueling away with Tullio. And the 54 in the mix there as well. Gael Chavez, the rookie winner yesterday. Antonella Bassani, though, has got the lead, and this is important for her to maintain. Can she, for the second weekend in a row, pick up a race victory? She won the first race last time. Can she win the second on this occasion? That would certainly keep her in the hunt for the championship. And Mariotti, having worked his way into third position, now needs to take on Chegamos Brasil. Matheus Roque, the pole position sitter, still down in fourth position now. But look at the lead that is being dropped by Leonardo Herman, who is just the cork in the bottle to everybody else. Sara Kleiter is now being held up by Leonardo Herman. As they run through, Mariotti trying to chase down Antonella Bassani. The whole field is men, except for Antonella and she is the race leader. What a superstar she is becoming. Chegamos Brasil still trying to hold on in front of Miguel Mariotti, and the more that Mariotti waits to get this move on Chegamos Brasil, the bigger Antonella Bassani's lead is going to get. So Mariotti needs to go for it. Oh, a bit of a run wide off the turn. And, well, there's a run wide and the car not actually returning. I think that could be a retirement for Marco Tullio yet again as Marucelli drifts wide. Castro's got a little bit of front splitter damage. So I think there's more to this than meets the eye, but Marco Tullio is not going any further by the look of it. He seems to have pulled off there on the exit of the Senna S. He certainly ran wide and never returned. I think we're going to have a retirement there from Marco Tullio. We could even have a safety car as a result of that. In fact, two cars have not come through, namely Christian Moore and Marco Tullio. I think they've ended up off the wall together somewhere on the far side of the course. Although I noticed that Marco Tullio has got the car started again. Christian Moore has not come through at the end of the first sector, so we need to see a replay of what happened there, really, to understand a little bit more about what the situation is. But certainly for Christian Moore, it's game over. Safety car. So we're about to find out what the situation is, I hope. Surely it's got to be related to what happened between Marco Tullio and Christian Moore. But it looks to me as though Christian Moore has run out of luck for the second race this weekend. So Antonella Bassani leads the field as they wait for the safety car to cue them up. Still no sign of why we're under safety car. I can only guess it's Christian Moore, whose car has stopped out on the circuit. I thought Marco Tullio's was going to as well, but he has recovered the car and is now making its way back to the pits. So where is the incident? Why are we under safety car? Lots of questions, not many answers at the moment. A wide shot. There's telltale tyre smoke signs of a spin. That could be left over from one of the practice sessions earlier this weekend. We're trying to find out why it is that we're under safety car. A longer look down the back straight doesn't reveal it either. So I can't really see why we're under safety car, but I can only guess it's because Christian Moore was involved in an incident with Marco Tullio, and as a result there could be either debris or a particularly parked car. Oh, is that Christian Moore's car? Oh, well, they're recovering Christian Moore's car. He's pulled off on the far side of the course, so he's had an incident there with Marco Tullio, and they've now managed to recover Christian Moore's car from one side of the course. It was his car that actually parked up and stopped, not Marco Tullio's. Tullio did have an incident, but he's managed to get himself back into the field again, albeit down at the back of the grid. There is Marco Tullio, just at the foot of the field behind Claudio Reina. So a mechanical problem in a dangerous place. Let's see a replay of what happened. Look in the background, and we'll see Christian Moore's car suddenly leave the field. We don't really get any understanding as to why. So the marshals have been able to pull his car back. Is there any damage to the car at all? Yeah, it looks as though there might have been some suspension damage actually on the right front. So there's more to this incident than meets the eye. We haven't got any official reason as to why Christian Moore ended up parking the car, so you'll have to wait for the race reports on the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil website. The good news is it was very quick to clear Christian Moore's car. So when we've got 17 minutes left of the race, the safety car is about to peel in. We're going to go racing again shortly. And for Antonella Bassani, ahead of Chegamos Brasil and Miguel Mariotti, this is going to be tough. But at Velocita, she actually won a race filled with safety cars, so she does know how to cope with the pressure up front. And Antonella Bassani, very much a favourite for this victory now, because if there's still going to be an issue for Miguel Mariotti getting past Chegamos Brasil, then it's going to work out very much in the favour of Antonella Bassani. Here is Matheus Roque, currently in 4th position. Bassani's gone for it. Here we go. So Antonella Bassani senses the opportunity for Chegamos Brasil, and even though Chegamos Brasil's gone with her, I'll tell you what, who did get caught out? Miguel Mariotti. He really got caught out there, and as a result, it's green here again at Interlagos. But Chegamos Brasil's got Antonella Bassani on the run. Matheus Roque's on the run round the outside of Miguel Mariotti as well. Too far to the outside to hold it, and a spin. That's Geração Campos, and he tags Caio Castro as he goes around, and Caio Castro's door comes open. Sango Kim's got to be careful he doesn't strike the car as he comes through. So Caio Castro spins the car, so too does Geração Campos. And Chegamos Brasil actually made a mistake behind Antonella Bassani, and that drops him back into the clutches once again of Miguel Mariotti. There's problems for Caio Castro. His door has come open and it looks as though permanently damaged. He's going to be out of the race. what do they say in motorsport? Safety cars breed safety cars. Are we going to get another one? Certainly Caio Castro having his wild moment as he came through there with Geração Campos. Neither driver appears to have come through at the end of the first sector. Certainly they've dropped all the way to the back of the field. Are we going to get a safety car as a result of the positioning of those cars? Well, they do seem to be right off the racing line. So again, I think we're going to get away without one. Antonello Bassani leads the race. I can tell you that Geração Campos has recovered and got going again. But Caio Castro definitely has not. The drivers work their way down Magello into Jansal. Now working their way up the hill. Antonello Bassani leading the way from Chegamos Brasil, who's under big pressure now from Miguel Mariotti. Then Matias Roque, Leonardo Herman, Tadek Leiter, Geração Campos and Caio Castro have ended up being spat out the order. So it's now Seba Malucelli in 7th place in front of Luis Souza, Giuliano Bertuccelli and Wagner Pontes. The incident is under investigation. Not really a surprise there, as both Geração Campos and Caio Castro are under investigation. Well, very smart from Caio Castro. Pulled the car off the racing line and parked the car in a safe position for the marshals to attend to. We didn't have to go safety car. Now, Miguel Mariotto stepping up the attack on Chegamos Brasil. Chegamos Brasil is obviously running for the sport victory. He would dearly love to get it second overall if he can stay in front of Miguel Mariotti. And Mariotti still having to work hard here to get into second place past the youngster Chegamos Brasil. But Antonello Bassani leads the way. Oh, big damage. That is a smoking car. That's Luis Souza limping back to the pits. Hopefully it's not too much damage, but it is a puncture, that's for sure. And that's on the right rear of the car. So Chegamos Brasil still running in second place ahead of Miguel Mariotti. He won the race yesterday, of course, Miguel Mariotti. He's up to third now. But Chegamos Brasil is going to make it difficult for him to make the overtaking move. Mariotti seeks the chance on Chegamos Brasil. Roque, meanwhile, defense from Leonardo Herman. He's a third of the drivers in the challenge battle. Tadek Leiter finds himself down in P6. Now here's a replay. This is Matias Roque going very wide and then tucking back in. There's the spin for Campos, and oh, Caio Castro just gets tagged. So pitching the original spin. Let's have a look at it again. There's some Campos down to the corner. Here he comes. Castro down to the inside. He pushes him into the initial spin and actually goes a little bit airborne. Then bang! As Geração Campos spins around, he actually collects Caio Castro. So essentially for Caio Castro, he's ended up taking himself out of the race there. I don't know if there's going to be any further investigation into that one. But certainly Chegamos Brasil hanging on to second here in front of Miguel Mariotti as Sang-Ho Kim looks like he's in some kind of trouble. So into the pits comes Luis Souza, and Sang-Ho Kim is limping. Oh, he's got a front left puncture, Sang-Ho Kim. So Sang-Ho Kim is out of the race, and so too is Luis Souza. They are dropping like flies as Miguel Mariotti takes on Chegamos Brasil for second place. They go up the hill once again, up to Ferradura, out of Subida dos Lagos. Miguel Mariotti determined to get into second position here past Chegamos Brasil. But still, you've got to be patient. You can't just send it up the inside and hope it's going to stick. You have to know that the car will turn in, will not strike your opponent, will not lose traction, will not lose momentum or balance of power, and of course, will make the corner. And there is Antonello Bassani leading the way, doing a great job, the 17-year-old. And Chegamos Brasil, second position ahead of Miguel Mariotti. Mariotti doesn't want to take it full guns blazing. After his win yesterday, he's got third position on the march here. He doesn't really want to cost himself any more than he has to. But certainly Chegamos Brasil is keeping him honest as they run up the turn, up the climb. And Chegamos Brasil looking very quick indeed here. Is it going to be quick enough to handle Miguel Mariotti as Sang-Ho Kim comes into the pits to sort out that puncture? Watch for Miguel Mariotti. He's going to try and take on Chegamos Brasil, and if he's not careful, Matias Roque can pick up the pieces. Chegamos Brasil, a stalemate behind Miguel Mariotti. There's 11 minutes left of the race. He wants the racing to settle down a little bit and give him a better chance of moving forward. Here is the battle for the sport victory. Wagner Pontes. This is the rookie victory, I should say. Gaio Chavez is now back in the lead of it, in front of Wagner Pontes, Dario Shimao, and Paulo Totaro. 4 drivers all in the hunt there, mixing it up. Geração Campos is trying to work his way past them all. having had his moment of ignominy. Now he's going to try and take on the three leading rookie contenders, Caio Chavez, Wagner Pontes, and Gloria Shishimao. So down the back straight, surely Gerson Campos can finish this one off relatively lightly. Not if there's a battle he can't though, so around the outside. And that is a change of position as Wagner Pontes gets the run on Caio Chavez. And I do believe that's the lead of the way. Well, no, it's not quite. It's Claudio Shimao who he managed to get the upper hand on. Gerson Campos did get through. Is that enough to cost them a place on the podium of the rookie category? Because Paolo Totaro was all over the back there of Claudio Shimao. 10 minutes left here in the second race of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Race won yesterday by Miguel Mariotti. Not going to be so easy to predict him getting back there once again. Gerson Campos lines up an opportunity to take on Wagner Pontes. They're not in the same category, of course. Gerson Campos is in the pro category, whereas Wagner Pontes is a rookie. This should be fairly straightforward, and indeed it almost sounds as if the team basically ready to him to say, you may as well let him go. We're not really racing him in the grand scheme of things. Gerson Campos is going to be a lot faster on lap times than the competitors in the rookie field. Still an interesting charge forward as the drivers are just trying to get a little bit more from their tyres in this latter stage of the race. Certainly not as much chaos as we saw in the Carrera Cup race, but there is a late bid up the inside of Wagner Pontes. Is that going to be enough to control the pace from Claudio Shimao? Claudio Shimao is going to try and maintain this position as he comes through. It might just be enough to get the job done. Onto the back straight, coming up to the Subida dos Lagos once again. 8 minutes and a half remaining. You've got to be careful how you use those 8.5 minutes as well, especially when drivers are dropping out of the race left, right and centre. Just 19 cars still circulating out of the 22 that started. The retirements are Luis Souza, Caio Castro and Christian Moore. And there is Alcifer Manito in the classic racing colours of red and white. They'll work the way up the radius of the course. And still they rage and battle on, and still Miguel Mariotti cannot get through on Chegamos Brasil. This is absolutely perfect for Antonella Bassani. He's not only got the lead, but she's got the gap as well. And even with a handful of moments like this one to finish us off, I don't think you're going to see any danger really of our race leader running it away throughout. It's very neat and tidy for Antonella Bassani in the lead. Second place for Chegamos Brasil, and in third position Miguel Mariotti. But here's the fight for fourth place. This is Matheus Roque versus Leonardo Herman. Roque hoping for a chance to close up on the two drivers in front. He doesn't want to be battling for fourth. He wants to be battling for second. Still, again, Miguel Mariotti challenges the opportunity for Chegamos Brasil. It's tight in, down the back straight, looking for another solid manoeuvre. Up to the braking zone, Miguel Mariotti's got to be careful he doesn't force the issue here on Chegamos Brasil. They come through Subida dos Lagos and back up to Verdigiro. They'll climb up the hill. Chegamos Brasil is doing everything he can to stay in front of Miguel Mariotti at the moment. Looks good, looks clean, looks tidy. Can they maintain it? That's the real key factor now. A very unhappy parked driver in the pit lane, Caio Castro. He walked his way back into the pits, and that's Leonardo Sanchez's car from the previous encounter on the grass verge there. That shows you how much of a job the mechanics are going to have. There are cars littering the racetrack. Going to need to do a lot of hard work before we can go racing again in those cars in 2 months' time. Still Chegamos Brasil in second place. Bit of a mistake from Leonardo Herman in the background. On the curve. Look at Antonella Bassani out front. She's gone. She's absolutely driven away from the rest of the pack. And there is your race leader, Antonella Bassani. What a drive she is having in the lead of this one. 6 minutes to go plus the additional lap. And this is excellent work from Antonella Bassani, the 17-year-old, newly born member of the Porsche Carrera Cup Academy. So they could look after her interests very well indeed. That is a retirement. That is Lucas Locatelli. He's got damage to the left front. It's not particularly significant damage, but he obviously wants to make sure he's not going to cause too many more headaches for the drivers out on the course. So instead of running oil and dirt and all sorts of things around the course, decided to come into the pit lane and park it. Miguel Mariotti The wheel to wheel with Chegamos. It's it! Oh, Miguel Mariotti spinning out of the race. Big damage to his car. He's hit him in exactly the wrong place. And Mariotti is out. That is catastrophic for the championship fight. Miguel Mariotti is out. And Chegamos Brasil is going to take damage as well. Oh, Miguel Mariotti will be absolutely enraged. And the race winner yesterday is out in race 2. And that just made Antonello Bassani's win even easier to finish off. Going on the far side, and look, Chegamos Brasil is on the grass. Now, how much of that is Miguel Mariotti getting impatient, and how much of that is Chegamos Brasil genuinely not leaving him enough space? You could argue that Miguel Mariotti had one wheel on the grass when he was making that move on Chegamos Brasil. And of course, Brazil is taking his normal racing line under the braking zone. So it's a difficult one. They think he's got it, and then all of a sudden, Chegamos Brasil is pitched off. Now, I can understand their argument that they will feel that he's been shoved off the road by Chegamos Brasil, but I think it's a more complicated debate than that. Safety car comes out, and Chegamos Brasil is in second ahead of Matheus Roque now. But I don't think it's a slam dunk as saying Chegamos Brasil didn't give him the space, because when you're a racing driver, your onus is to do the overtaking move, and essentially you've got to try and create the space to make the move happen. If you've gone to the outside, that's your choice, that's your decision, your commitment. But unfortunately for the championship leader at this point, Miguel Mariotti, who took the fabulous win yesterday, he just got a little bit greedy for me. His eyes were wider than his stomach, and he's essentially instigated his own demise there by going side by side with Chegamos Brasil on the outside rather than the inside. He even had one wheel on the grass trying to complete the move, and as a result, you know, the car lost stability and hurtled into the side of Chegamos Brasil's car anyway. So I would suspect that there's going to be an argument to suggest that, oh, there's a problem behind the safety car! What has happened there? Sadek Leiter has had an incident behind the safety car, and Matheus Roque's driven into him. What is going on? I have never seen anything like that before. And let's look at it again. In the background, Matheus Roque has come through, and Sadek Leiter has lost the car completely and driven into the side of Matheus Roque. What on earth was Sadek Leiter doing? That is going to be a mad discussion for later. What has Sadek Leiter done? Just didn't realise that they were going to slow right down for the cars in front, but surely he must know they're under safety car conditions. Well, Sadek Leiter got a bit of damage. He's now at the back of the field. He's got to remain there. That is one of the maddest incidents I've ever seen in motorsport. And now he's overtaking Sang-Ho Kim under safety car conditions. Surely that is going to be a double whammy of trouble for Sadek Leiter. The thing is, he's had that incident. He thinks, well, I can just get back into my original position under safety car. I don't think you can, sir. Sadek Leiter deliberately trying to prove the point, well, I can get back into my original position. That's debatable. I don't really think you're in that position. Look, Sadek Leiter is trying to overtake people to get back into his original starting position. I don't think you can do that, mate. I don't think that's legal. Well, that is going to be up for debate. For the moment, Sadek Leiter feels, well, I was in P6, so I can put myself back into P6. I don't think the rules work that way, my friend. Oh, this could be a fascinating discussion post-race, as Sadek Leiter's got problems anyway. Oh, he's got problems anyway. The car is not moving fast enough to be a racing car anymore. Antonello Bassani's gone for it. But Sadek Leiter's not going to have these issues anymore anyway. Safety car is in, and it's green, 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 green. We've got a minute and a half to go. And so, for me, it's a two-lap sprint. Antonello Bassani leads into turn one. Take it easy. You've got three sports drivers hot on your heels, and they're not going to give too much of a pressure to Antonello Bassani. Chegamos Brasil, Matheus Roque, and Leonardo Herrmann are going to be there in the mix. What a crazy race this has been, as the Sprint Challenge superstars all fall by the wayside in one way or the other, except for Antonello Bassani, the only member of the Sprint Challenge grid that didn't make it into the top 10 shootout. How ironic is that? So the 139 of Chegamos Brasil continuing on his way in front of Matheus Roque and Leonardo Herrmann there in fourth position. Seba Maricelli and Giuliano Bertuccelli, the next man in out of the sports class category. is in 7th position, and that's the Sprint Challenge driver, Geração Campos, is the only one left, really, of the Sprint Challenge drivers, other than Antonello Bassani. Then the leading rookie is Caio Chavez, in front of Claudio Shimao. And in 10th place, it's Marco Tullio, and Wagner Pontes, Paulo Totaro, Alcifel Benito, Dario Rena, and Eric Santos. Those are the only remaining runners in this race. Well, surely, even though there was mechanical problem for Sadok Leiter, there's going to be a discussion about whether he's allowed to overtake under safety car to get back into his original starting position, as Roque and Herman both drift wide out of Jinsao. The time ticks down to 0, and Antonello Bassani leads going into what will be the start of the final lap. Chegamos Brasil in 2nd place, and 3rd position for Matheus Roque. Well, there are some big days for some of these competitors coming up, and certainly for Antonello Bassani, she is 1 lap away from sealing a victory that yesterday morning was probably looking rather unlikely. She got knocked out of the top 10 in the qualifying showdown. She wasn't able to get herself higher than 11th on the grid for the first race, as Matheus Roque drifts out big wide on the exit of the Senna S. And off in the start-finish straight. Is that Geração Campos? That's the 45 in trouble, so it's actually Paulo Totaro. But Paulo Totaro's now hit the wall. And that is on the home straight. Now, can that be covered with a yellow flag? Oh, that's in a very nasty position. He's lost it and he's going to go in hard. Oh, goodness me. So Paulo Totaro hits the pit wall. That's a really strange place to have an accident. We're on the last lap anyway. But are we going to need a safety car to cover that, or will yellow flags be sufficient? I think yellow flags will just about do that, because it is just past the safety line anyway. So they'll cover it with a double waved yellow after the finish line. But what a dramatic end to the race then for Paulo Totaro as well. So Antonello Bassani is going to come through after a very dramatic race again in the Porsche Sprint Challenge, the last driver standing, and what a result it's been. Antonello Bassani, the 17-year-old superstar, has done an amazing job. When all the men around her lost their head, Antonello Bassani kept her cool. She comes through, and Antonello Bassani wins at Interlagos. Magnificent. What a drive from Antonello Bassani, the winner overall and in the Challenge Cup as well. That more than makes up for the misery of yesterday morning. And as far as the championship is concerned, Antonello Bassani's done a great job fighting back to P4 in yesterday's first race and then taking a win when her main rival, Miguel Mariotti, fails to finish. Bring on the championship fight. This is great news for Antonello Bassani and her crew. The PC74 racing team doing a terrific job. For Antonello Bassani, excellent racing. And you know what? There's more to come from her this season. I think it's inevitable that we're going to start talking about her as a Porsche GT Renegade superstar of the future. She's got a great career path potentially opening up before her, the likes of Fanatec GT, maybe even Mile 24 Hours itself. But certainly for the moment, Antonello Bassani lighting up the circuit here in Brazil with a terrific, dominant display. Did not lose her cool, did not lose her head. A great drive from a terrific racing driver. She has got such potential, Antonello Bassani, and there is a lot more coming. This is just the beginning for her. Wonderful race and a supreme drive from the Mobile 1 72 race car of Antonello Bassani. It's a victory in the sport category for Chegamos Brasil, despite being driven into by Miguel Mariotti. He'll be very happy about that one. But there is Chegamos Brasil coming through to return to the pit lane for the victory in the sport category. He'll be elated despite the damage he could have received there from Miguel Mariotti. Third in the race and second in class for Matheus Roque, Leonardo Herman and Seba Monicelli. Then Geração Campos and Giuliano Bertuccelli. But then you've got to look all the way back to 8th position for the winner in rookie, and that is for the second race in a row, Caio Chavez. Excellent work from that man in the purple and black machine. Caio Chavez wins in rookie, finishing 8th on the road, ahead of Marco Tullio and Wagner Pontes. What a crazy race. What a crazy pair of races. But there is the winner, Antonello Bassani, celebrating with her crew. almost an all-female affair on the engineering front. But Antonella Bassani victorious. What a drive from the Golden Girl here in Interlagos. Isn't it fitting that the last race at Interlagos before tributes are paid to the groundbreaker, the trailblazer that was Ayrton Senna da Silva, will be marking 30 years since his passing on Wednesday of this week. And what a fitting tribute it is that the last winner on the Interlagos circuit of any kind, before that tribute, before that commemoration is played out, is a lady driver, Antonella Bassani, the future of Brazilian motorsport. Great race from Chegamos Brasil, he takes the win in sport. Great race from Caio Chaves, he takes the win in rookie. And there is the celebrations down at Caio Chaves' awning. Excellent work and a great race battle. The fans can be very thoroughly satisfied with what they've just witnessed. Some great entertainment out there. Antonella Bassani's already got 1 billion camera crews around her. And what a result it is for her. You'll hear that interview in full, I'm sure, on the Porsche Cup Brasil Instagram. There is the celebration for Caio Chaves. He can be very happy with the way he has pulled off 2 wins out of 2 in the rookie competition this weekend. Chegamos Brasil coming through for the goods to take a victory in sport. But a race that had so much drama written through it. Only 14 cars making the flag, would you believe, of the 22 that started. A race full of attrition. You honestly run out of superlatives for our race winner, Antonella Bassani, doing a sensational job. The team are delighted, and they will obviously continue the party long into the night. There are the provisional winners. Antonella Bassani fighting to the victory ahead of Chegamos Brasil and Caio Chaves, the sport and rookie winners, respectfully. But what a sensational race from Antonella Bassani. While everybody else lost the plot, she was right on script and delivered a thrilling second act to this brilliant weekend. Chegamos Brasil second, behind Antonella Bassani, the race winner. Matheus Roque, Leonardo Hierman and Seba Malucelli. Then Gerson Campos, Giuliano Bertuccelli, Caio Chaves in 8th and Marco Tullio in 9th ahead of Wagner Pontes. Only 4 other finishers in this race. Claudio Shimao, Alcifel Manito, Claudio Reina and Eric Santos. There were retirements galore. Paulo Totaro, Sadak Leiter, Sangho Kim, Miguel Mariotti. Very dramatic. Lucas Locatelli, Luis Souza, and then the final 2, Caio Castro and Christian Moore. But there will be a lot of questions asked about this race. Will Sadak Leiter get the book thrown at him for having a crash under safety car and then overtaking the field to get back into his original position under safety car? The winners embrace Antonella Bassani and Caio Chaves, but nobody has been able to thwart Antonella Bassani today. She took the lead on the first turn from 3rd on the grid, stormed her way forward, and it was pretty plain sailing from that moment on for her. Absolutely commanded the troops out there, and there was nobody to falter her in this thrilling race that had so many stops and starts and so much flotsam and jetsam and bits of carbon fibre all around the course. Did she buckle under the pressure? Not on your Nelly. Great job from Antonella Bassani, a driver I've got so much faith in for the future. You're going to have so much fun watching her climb the ranks of GT racing. Might not be too long before you see her in the ranks of the Iron Dames in the GT racing world. It's not too late for her to consider a single-seater switch either. She's only 17. The sky's the limit. The Brazilian definitely showcasing her speed against the cream of the crop of Porsche's Sprint Challenge Brazil drivers. So the podium ceremony is the next big moment out on the circuit, but let's have a look again at what happened in the closing stages of the race. Here's what happened. Alcifel Manito actually ended up having a moment over the start-finish line. And that was with, now who was that with? Claudio Shimao, I think, as they came across the line. So that's going to be investigated. So it's a replay of something that we didn't really see until it's been gone over in a fine-tooth comb. The incident involving car number 45 is under investigation. That is Paulo Totaro crashing out on the main straight. Well, there's going to be a lot of investigations. You're going to find out all the latest updates and the official classification on the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil website. Do make sure you follow all the latest news on that one. You'll find it on the social media channels and pages as well for Porsche Cup Brazil. I thoroughly recommend the Instagram page. That's the one that seems to be the most regularly and consistently updated. But the podium ceremony is going to have 5 great racing drivers on it, but on the top step of the podium, a very worthy female victor. All the men in this race had very strange and challenging battles out there. A lot of drivers put wheels wrong. They certainly had a tough time of it out there on the course. But Antonella Bassani was the only real driver out there not to make mistakes, not to crack under the pressure and the strain. And it's Antonella Bassani who comes through for the victory. We're just waiting now for Leonardo Herrmann to take his place on the podium with the other 4 drivers. And then we can get the podium ceremony underway. There's Leonardo Herrmann. So the trophies will be raised then in reverse order. Seba Martuchelli coming through for 5th position. 4th place for Leonardo Herrmann. Great result for him. He can be happy with that one. 3rd place for Matheus Roque. He probably didn't think a podium was on in the first few laps. Chegamos Brasil, excellent display from him, and 2nd place overall in this one. And he'll obviously get the class win in sport as well. But the race winner here at Interlagos, in fantastic fashion in the Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil, the 17-year-old superstar and wonder kid, in fantastic fashion. Oh, her trophy isn't there. What an embarrassing moment. Trophy has to be presented separately to Antonella Bassani. It ends up turning into a sweet moment. Antonella Bassani, who almost forgot to give the trophy to her, but she celebrates in style. What a result for the young 17-year-old racer, who is just picking up trophy after trophy after trophy. An emotional moment for Antonella Bassani after the difficulties of yesterday, for her to bounce back and pick up the victory and keep this championship fight alive. Boy, will she be happy with that. And she gets to celebrate with the boys as Antonella Bassani, the race winner, gets busy with the fizzy here in Brazil. Superb race in the Porsche Sprint Challenge. And Antonella Bassani will go one step further in her pursuit of a back-to-back title. Well done to Antonella Bassani. There's going to be so many more chapters written about this great sports car ace. And we are just getting started as to what she can deliver in the future. Get ready for some excitement and some great future race battles, because there's going to be plenty of those from Antonella Bassani. Right, the next podium is going to be in the sport category, and 4 of the drivers you've just seen on the podium are going to return to the rostrum, because they actually finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the sport category, as well as 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th overall. And the only other new face that's going to join them, 5th position in the sport category, is going to be Giuliano Bertuccelli. Just watching back over the brilliant scenes as Antonella Bassani picked up the win in fantastic fashion, and her team and her crew could not be more proud. So there we go, a change of positions again as the top 5 drivers in sport pick up their silverware. Giuliano Bertuccelli in 5th position, Seba Martuchelli in 4th place in the 100% car, Leonardo Herrmann 3rd position in the Coppet machine, Matheus Roque 2nd place for him. Not a bad run for his efforts, but the race win to Chegamos Brasil. What a stunning race performance from him, despite being driven into by Miguel Mariotti at the back of the back straight. He still manages to maintain it and bring himself into a race-winning position in sport, 2nd overall. So, some great battles out there. It seems as though everybody in the Porsche Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge Brazil knows how to perfect the Lando Norris champagne technique. They all celebrate in style. And of course, all of the drivers in this category as well in Sprint Challenge Brazil will also be getting themselves ready for the future races to come. But Chegamos Brasil, despite all the pressure laid on him by Miguel Mariotti, he was not really in a position to do anything about Mariotti's move on him. I wouldn't say he did anything wrong in that particular incident. I think Miguel Mariotti very much became the architect of his own demise. So I don't really think you need to throw the book at anybody there on that one. Though it certainly gives us more talking points out on the course. But Chegamos Brasil, our 2nd of our winners, Antonella Bassani picking up the win overall, Chegamos Brasil picking up the win in sport, and now we have the 5 rookies, which is just as well, because we only just managed to get 5 rookies finishing the race. We had 6 in total, actually. The 5 drivers are there. They need to figure out what step they need to stand on. They've sorted that out between themselves now. 5th position in the rookie category, going the way of Claudio Reina. A tough race for him. He'll have to bounce back in style next time, I'm sure, which he will. Alcifel Benito, the youngest man in the entire field, just 15 years of age for Alcifel Benito, and it's his dad that comes over to present him the trophy. I love the spirit of camaraderie in this field. Occasionally you get the drivers wanting somebody particularly special to them to present the trophy to them. 3rd position, a great run from Dario Shimao. Magno Pontes in 2nd place. But for the 2nd time this weekend, the win going to Caio Chavez. 2 out of 2 in the rookie category. He can be very happy with his lot there. So that wraps up proceedings pretty much here at the Interlagos circuit on the Autódromo José Carlos Pace. As the rookies celebrate in style, we've just got time to tell you that the calendar moves on now after 3 sprint weekends at Goiânia, Velocità and here at Interlagos. We've got a 2-month wait before the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Sprint Challenge Brasil calendar moves on to the next round. It'll be an endurance event on the 4th weekend in June as we head to the other nation that hosts races in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil. It's the other nation that speaks the language, Portugal, on the former Grand Prix venue of Estoril. We'll be back for that. I'm Jake Sanson. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Our victors, Antonella Bassani, Chelio Brazil and Caio Chavez in the Porsche Sprint Challenge. And in the Carrera Cup, it's Werner Neugebauer, Lineu Perez and Marcos Regadas after a thrilling encounter of races. A lot of time to fix the cars. And in Estoril, it'll be another spectacular show. Bye for now.
para a realização de mais uma. Fotógrafos de mais uma etapa, nosso muito obrigado. Equipe médica, resgate, sinalização, direção de prova, nossas meninas, o pódio. Valeu, Gi. Valeu, gente. Para terminar, vamos terminar para cima. Boa viagem, até a próxima, se Deus quiser.